Hello, welcome back to the Great Reset. I'm Nasco. Today we're talking about SpaceX and Starlink again. I'm going to tell you what my opinion is for what the master plan is for SpaceX and Starlink for the near future. Starlink's goal today is to become a global internet service provider. So far, they have applied to have 42,000 satellites in the sky within the next 15 years. The first batch is 4,000 satellites within the next 5 years. Now, what does that mean and what are the implications? Starlink already has 1,000 satellites in orbit, and it's scheduled to have another 60 satellites every 2 weeks going up in space just this year. This will double the constellation size just in 2021. Going forward, I suspect that Starlink will keep on doubling every year for quite a while due to the fact that instead of using Falcon 9s for transportation of the satellites, we'll be using Starship. Using Starship will allow to send more satellites at a time, which will be next generation satellites. Now, what the goal of SpaceX is to become the global internet service provider for anyone and anywhere to have option of fast, reliable internet. Whether you're on a ship, airplane, whether you're in the Antarctic, whether you're in a rural area, you can get internet anywhere in the world at a very good internet at a good affordable price. I believe Starlink will become the biggest internet company in the world. Yes, it's not going to have the biggest market share in any given country, but due to the fact that it's working on a global scale, it will be much bigger than any other service provider right now. No one currently competes on a global scale. No one. And Starlink is the first company to do that. Step number 2, I believe, will be for Starlink to become the backbone of cell phone companies in the world. Currently, any cell phone company that is looking to upgrade their cell phone network needs to rewire the fiber cables going to their towers to handle the bigger capacity needed to be able to provide more data. This is an ongoing issue with all cell phone companies, and all of them need more cables. This is a very expensive proposition. It costs a lot of money to upgrade the cabling to a cell phone tower. It requires construction, requires building permits. It causes delays. It causes interruption of service. It costs a lot of money. And I believe Starlink will be able to offer better solution. The better solution will be having a bigger antenna than what consumers have, with a dedicated internet through Starlink, where you'll be able to upgrade the capacity on your cell phone tower very quickly within a matter of a week or two. And you'll be able to do that without interruption of service, and it will be cheaper than what you would pay as a cell phone company to have new cables run underground to the tower that you need. Furthermore, when you have events that require gathering of a lot of people concentrated in a small area at the same time for a short period of time, upgrading your tower doesn't make a lot of sense. What you need is a short burst of data capacity for a short period of time. As an example, there are Olympics coming in Tokyo, there is a World Cup coming in Qatar, other events, conventions, all of those events require a whole bunch of people to gather in a small footprint and use a lot of internet at the same time. But upgrading a cell phone tower or even your regular internet service provider is not economically worth it for them to do that just for, let's say, a month. Where if you have upgrade available through SpaceX, whether you rent the required satellite dishes or they sell it to you and you can use them in the future, it still would be cheaper than what you have today. You would be able to collect a lot more money for providing that internet service that you otherwise would not be able to. This is a big issue. I believe SpaceX will be the first one to actually present a solution to that issue. But this is only step number 2. Now, the interesting part is when we get to step number 3. The next step will be to send data centers in orbit. I know it sounds crazy, but it's not. Already, a whole bunch of startups have proposed this They have worked out the economics and the technological hurdles that are required for this to happen. Currently, the biggest issue for someone to send a data center in orbit is the cost of the launch, provided SpaceX reaches their goals of having low-cost launches. The most economical way to run a data center will be to have it in orbit. Why? Well, there's a few reasons. You don't need to buy land, you don't need to construct a building, you don't need to pay real estate taxes, and you don't need to pay for electricity. And these are about half the costs of operating a data center today. Why do I say that? Well, we know you don't need to buy land in space, you don't need to pay real estate taxes in space, you don't need to build buildings in space, and electricity will be cut by a wide margin simply because the electricity in data centers is used mostly to cool down the servers and computers. As you all know, the biggest enemy of computers is heat, and that's what the electricity, or majority of it, is used cooling down servers. In the cold of space, you don't really need that much electricity. Number two, they will be attached to solar panels. Solar panels in space are much more efficient. The solar radiation is much higher. And number two, there is no interference by Earth's atmosphere that would degrade the solar radiation. That's why a lot of the companies like Amazon, Google, Microsoft place their data centers near big metro population areas, due to the fact that this is where most of the traffic comes from, and they want to be able to offer fast download and load speeds to their customers. Now, if the closest terminal that your users are connecting to is a satellite in space, well, then the closest place for you to put your data center in is in space. So you're knocking out two birds with one stone. You have a cheaper data center to run, and it gives you faster download speeds. This is why I believe this would be the next step. In the next 5 or 6 years, we're going to see cell phone companies turning over to SpaceX and Starlink for lowering their cost of upgrading their networks, and we'll see data centers in orbit that will be cheaper to operate, cheaper to maintain, and will present us with better and faster download speeds. Now, moving on to the real interesting stuff. We are going to need people to maintain those data centers. We're going to need people to maintain the servers. We're going to need people to maintain the data centers, and that will present a whole new economy to the world. Having people spending time in space, not because it's government funded or not because it's some kind of a curiosity of a research agency, will create an economy much like we have here today. You have to have a place for the engineers and researchers to spend time, basically where they can eat, sleep, and do their daily work. But you're also going to have a place where they can have some entertainment. They can go out to a bar. They can have some pizza. They can have burgers. They can have Italian food, whatever else they wish in their spare time. And remember, because Starship is designed to be very fast turnaround time, they will be able to go up for a couple of weeks, do the job that they were sent to do, and go back. So it's not going to be a big deal, as it is today, to go to space, because you'll actually be going there to do a job. And the reason you'll be going there to do a job is because that's the most economical way for your employer to perform that job. It won't be on Earth, it will be actually on space. And it won't be just software engineers. We already know, bio researchers have told us that working with proteins, microgravity is the best environment to do that. Now, once they figure out that it's safe and economical to send a researcher there instead of buying super expensive equipment to neutralize the effects of gravity here, they will start sending bio researchers there to do a work there as well, which will need to eat, sleep, and get entertained. Next step will be 3D printing. 3D printing is most efficient in microgravity. That's how robots like it, to where nothing is pulling anything anywhere. So we'll have 3D printing maybe to build a space station. We'll have 3D printing maybe to build parts. Initially, I suspect we'll have a whole bunch of starships linked together to act as a space station, and when one is needed to be separated to go maintain a data center or a satellite, it just disconnects, goes to perform the duty, and comes back to the mothership, if you will. But having this is basically creating a space economy. And I believe this is the biggest plan of Elon Musk. He wants to have a space economy, and he wants to be the one enabling it, because the one who enables a certain type of economy is the one who makes the most money out of it. Now, this leads me to say what I think is the ultimate goal of Starlink and SpaceX. Elon Musk wants SpaceX to be the solar systems transportation company. It will transport information. So if you need internet in Alaska, you have it. If you need internet in rural Wyoming, you have it. If you need internet in LA, you have it. If you need internet in India, you have it. Then, if you need internet on a space station, you have it. If you need internet on the moon, you have it. Furthermore, if you need internet on Mars, you have that too. And it's not only going to be transporting information. The second part is transporting people and goods. So if you want to go from New York to Tokyo, you'll be able to use SpaceX for a quick hour flight. If you want to go from New York to the space station, you'll be able to use SpaceX. If you want to go from New York to the moon, you'll be able to use SpaceX. And if you want to move from Earth to Mars, you'll be using SpaceX as well. It will be the most efficient company. And due to that fact, it will be the biggest and the most profitable. I believe this is Elon Musk's grand plan with SpaceX. He already told us as much when he presented Starship. He said you can land it on the moon, you can land it on Mars, you can land it on Europa. And enabling a space economy is what will get this dream come true. Enabling Starlink to become the world's backbone of the internet, enabling Starlink to operate data centers near its satellites will require people to spend time in space. Not astronauts, but just everyday people who are employed by regular companies. That will create the economy needed for space. That will get money moving in space. And that will get SpaceX very profitable. And it will help achieving Musk's dream of colonizing Mars. Because once you have people going out to space, what difference does it make if you're spending time on the moon or on Earth? You're still far away either way. But a Starship would always be handy for you to go back. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I've been working on this video for a while. My name is Nasco. This is The Great Reset. If you like what you hear, hit the like button. If you want to know more about what I think about the future of tech, hit subscribe. I'll see you soon. Thank you very much for your time. I really, really appreciate it.